Righto. So, yeah, we're here with Martin Oppenheimer. This is how old is this pasture, Martin?
This was sown 5 or 6 years ago.
Right. And so, what's your comment about the state of it, and obviously the background in terms of the weather, I guess.
Well,
what's it been through?
Yeah, I don't know if we're second or third year into a very serious drought. So, probably the second worst drought since the 1980s, and it ranks up there with the 1960s, and it's severe. The conditions have been severe. But this pasture, which was mainly fescue and cocksford, quite new varieties of fescue and cocksford, and we sowed it with clovers and legumes, and herbs. But really, it's not coping with the current conditions, with the climate. Our grazing methodology here has been quite poor because it's been one large 30-hectare paddock. We haven't fenced it up, as we have most of our country, into smaller paddocks. So on the techno system, this would be 30 hectares broken down into 24 paddocks of 1.25 to 1.3 hectares. Most of them on a 60-day rotation or a 90-day rotation. So we've obviously overgrazed this country, so there's an issue here of the species that really aren't quite suitable to the current climate, but also the grazing management isn't helping that at all, and basically we're losing plants big time here.
Yeah. And so what's the reaction to that in terms of what changes to make in the short term to try and address that from this pasture's point of view, sort of thing, like infrastructure, more paddocks?
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's what we have to do. That's the first thing that we have to do. We should have done it already, but we have to incorporate more rest into the grazing. So whether we go to a 60 or 90-day rotation, that's a decision we have to make down the track, but we have to have the ability to do that by more subdivision. So it's more fencing, more water points, so that we have the ability to control not only the stock density, so have high stock densities, but have more rest in the grazing system. But clearly the investment we made here, which was somewhere around $600 to $800 a hectare, we're not getting a return from that, because the way it's going, we're going to have to re-sow this country. Currently we're barely running 6 to 8 ewes to the hectare on this country, whereas we have older pastures that we're still able to, under these conditions, run 8 to 12 ewes to the hectare. In more normal seasons, we'd be running 12 to 14 merino ewes to the hectare on that country. But this one is failing us at the moment, and our investment is disappearing in front of our eyes.
Very good. So the rainfall that you've had over the last few years, you mentioned that?
Look, yeah, we're normally close to an 800 millimetre summer rainfall here, and we've been down around that sort of between 400 and 500 millimetres, but there's been quite a bit of storm rain. The pattern's been quite different. So when you get to these sort of conditions with low covers, then there's got to be more runoff. So normally we'd have enough cover to have less runoff, and we know that if it's a better grazing system, we'd have more soil porosity, so we'd be soaking that rainfall in faster as the rain falls, and then the water holding capacity be greater as well. So when we're getting to this sort of situation, I know it's drought, but it's not sustainable.
Excellent.